Welcome back, everybody, to another deep dive. Today we'll be exploring the connection between two iconic pieces of art you've definitely seen before, the Flammarion engraving and Michelangelo's The Creation of Adam.
Yeah, it's going to be a good one.
And we're not just looking at them, we're going deeper to uncover how they talk to each other across time.
Exactly. It's a conversation about, the limits of knowledge, how we perceive reality, and that urge we have to push past boundaries. That's always been there.
Right, so first, picture the Flammarion engraving, a pilgrim in like a long robe. He's peeking through this hole in the sky.
Oh, yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about.
And on the other side, it's insane. It's this incredible world of stars and planets and all these crazy-looking machines in the sky.
Like, that's literally broken through into this whole other reality. It's wild.
It really is. And then you have Michelangelo's The Creation of Adam up on the Sistine Chapel ceiling. God's surrounded by these figures, and he's reaching out to Adam to give him life.
Such a classic image, powerful, a true Renaissance masterpiece.
Definitely. Two totally different pieces, right? But here's the thing. They're connected. How can a medieval-looking woodcut and a Renaissance painting share a common thread?
That is the question, isn't it?
It is, and it all starts with the Flammarion engraving. People always think it's way older than it is.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Its style is like totally mimicking those older medieval and Renaissance pieces. Even art historians get fooled sometimes.
Really? Wow.
Yeah. It's intentional, though. The artist wanted it to look that way. But the engraving is actually from the 19th century.
Huh. So not that old.
Nope. And get this. It first appeared in a meteorology book in 1888 by Camille Flammarion, this French astronomer.
Wait, a science book? That's so strange. What's an image like that doing in a textbook about the weather?
Well, that's part of what makes it so cool. Flammarion was trying to get across a scientific point. He was showing how humans have always tried to figure out the universe to go beyond what we think we know. That pilgrim is like the symbol of that quest,
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, he's literally breaking through the sky.
Exactly. And in the text that goes along with the engraving, Flammarion talks about how people used to think the sky was like a solid dome, kind of like the flat earth idea.
Right, like a ceiling.
Yeah. And he uses the engraving to challenge that limited way of thinking. The pilgrim breaks right through that barrier. It's about how science can shatter the way we see the world.
So it's like he's stepping out of the limitations of our everyday reality.
You got it.
It's amazing. There were even a few stories that might have inspired the engraving, like the legend of St. Macarius and his monks searching for the point where heaven meets earth.
Oh, right. And there's that 17th century story about a hermit who thought he reached the edge of the world and had to, duck down so he wouldn't hit the sky.
It's wild, all these stories blending folklore and exploration and science. They all come together in this one image.
It really is something.
It really makes you think about how people have been asking these big questions about our place in the universe for centuries. It really is mind-blowing. It's like all these ideas connecting across time.
It is, and it leads us right to Michelangelo's The Creation of Adam, that incredible scene on the Sistine Chapel ceiling, God reaching out to Adam.
Oh yeah, such powerful imagery. And you can see how skilled Michelangelo was with anatomy.
Absolutely. He was a master, and he was definitely inspired by those classical sculptures like the Belvedere torso.
The Belvedere torso.
Yeah, it's this amazing ancient Greek statue. It's just a fragment, but it shows so much strength and beauty in the human form.
I can see how that would inspire Michelangelo.
Oh, totally. You can see the influence in the way he sculpted Adam's body. But here's where things get really interesting. Some scholars think the shape surrounding God in that painting might actually be a map of the human brain.
Wait, what? Are you serious? He put a brain diagram in The Creation of Adam?
It's a theory. It's pretty wild, right? Back in 1990, a doctor named Frank Meshberger wrote about it in the Journal of the American Medical Association. He pointed out all these similarities.
Like what?
Well, if you look closely, the way the figures are arranged, the drapery, all of it, it lines up with different parts of the brain, the cerebrum, the brainstem, even the pituitary gland.
Wow. So if that's true, why would Michelangelo hide a brain diagram in this famous painting?
That's the big question, isn't it? It makes you think about the painting in a whole new way. Maybe he saw the brain as the seat of the soul, like the divine spark that God gives to Adam.
That's a powerful idea. So we have these two pieces of art from totally different time periods, different styles, but they're both exploring these huge ideas about human consciousness and how we connect to the universe.
It's true. They're both pointing to something beyond what we can see and touch. In the Flammarion engraving, the pilgrim physically pushes past the limits of what he thought was possible. He gets a glimpse of the cosmos. And in the creation Adam, you have Adam receiving the spark of life. Maybe it represents that moment of awakening to knowledge itself.
I love that. It's like they're both asking us, what's out there? What's beyond what we can see and touch?
Exactly. And it makes you wonder how we should approach these artworks. Do we just see them as scientific or religious expressions? Or are they something more? Do they speak to something deeper?
It's almost like they're both asking, what's your place in all of this, in this vast universe? Yeah, it really is amazing to think about how these two images, the Flammarion engraving and the creation of Adam, they seem so different, but they're both exploring these ideas of knowledge consciousness, the universe.
Yeah, and what connects them is that human desire to understand where we fit in, both physically and spiritually. It's like they're asking, what's our role in all of this?
Exactly. And they remind us that whether it's through science or art, that search for knowledge, it never really ends. It shapes how we see ourselves in the world in ways we don't even realize.
Right, and it makes you wonder, could Michelangelo, with all his knowledge of anatomy, have been hinting at something more with the creation of Adam?
Like what?
Well, some people think that by shaping the figures and drapery to look like a brain, he was suggesting that the brain is where the soul resides, that it's the source of that divine spark from God.
It's definitely an interesting theory. It makes you think about the painting in a whole new way.
It really does.
So let's recap for everyone. We have the Flammarion engraving, this 19th century piece that tricks everyone into thinking it's older, using medieval imagery to make a scientific point about pushing the boundaries of understanding.
Right, and then we have Michelangelo's The Creation of Adam, this Renaissance masterpiece that celebrates the beauty of the human body, but maybe even hints at the brain being the source of the soul.
And both pieces, they capture that human need to figure out where we belong, both in the physical world and in a spiritual sense.
Yeah, they both ask, what's our place in this grand cosmic scheme?
Exactly. And they remind us that whether we're talking about science or art that search for knowledge, it's a journey. And it's one that keeps shaping how we understand ourselves and the world around us.
Well said.
So next time you see these images, think about that pilgrim going beyond what he thought was possible, and Adam receiving that spark of life. They're not just pretty pictures. They're powerful reflections of our never-ending quest for knowledge and meanings. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive, everyone.